where and when should someone start with succession planning?
Look, as far as to start, best place to start is talking about your strategy with your advisor first at any stage of your life. As advisors, we usually say, as soon as you're 18, you're earning an income, you have a form of an assets, you just got to think steps ahead of time. And in the event of one's passing away, you've got to think about planning out your super, your life insurances, or any other assets that flow on smoothly to the people that you've chosen to be your beneficiary. So when a person dies without making any preparations of their assets, they may be fought over, frozen, subject to fees, penalties, or it will chip away at their asset value. So with deliberate financial planning, there are many ways to transfer the wealth to your loved ones.
Now, I suspect many of us, not naming anyone on this podcast particularly, didn't do that at 18.
Yeah.
And potentially didn't do that at 30 either. So we may find ourselves in positions where we have assets and forms of wealth which we aren't set up for.
Yeah.
It sounds like this should move up the priority list to a degree then.
Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned there just some very real things with what can happen if you don't do this. And I think that's a really important thing. That is one of the highlighted things that came to my attention in research was just the difference between someone who is planned and unplanned.
Yeah.
It can be the difference between passing on, let's say, 70% of your wealth and even down to 40% of your wealth in some circumstances just through not understanding things. The next part of that question, though, is like, how do you even go about with the where to start with it? What are the types of considerations we need to make?
Well, there are a few. There's a few considerations you need to start thinking about or start jotting them down. First thing first, you got to think about the beneficiaries. Who are these people? They're typically, for a normal person, will be your spouse, your children, your grandchildren, your friends or your family members, or charities perhaps. Once you've noted them, you need to look at any of these people are going to help you carry out those wishes. That's the second part that needs to be worked out. Then who will be the executor, the trustee, the guardian, or the agent, or any other decision maker in that part of the process? So
let's pause there for a second. Mm-hmm. Who are those people? Like, is this, like, for example, is this you would appoint one of your kids to be the guardian, or is this a paid role where you go, all right, it's actually my accountant and a lawyer who fulfill this role?
It could be both. It could be both. But typically, if you can look at executor as the person who is nominated in your will typically and has the authority to administer your will or your deceased estate after the person's passed away, it will be their responsibility to apply for probate, collate your assets, pay for your funeral expenses, distribute the balances to your beneficiaries. Also, typically, executor will then instruct a lawyer who specializes in probate and estate administration to assist him. Now, you can have more executors, or they can be named jointly. Pardon me.
So, well, I just want to break this down because you've gone straight for the jugular here, Ray, and I love you for that. But I want to make sure we convey this well, because even for Grant and I, as to what you said, and yes, I'm going to speak for you, Grant.
Yeah, no, I figured that one.
I'm just going to go for it. Well, I'll just speak for me then. Why not?
I'm just here. I'm part of the audience. I'll just applause when you flash the light.
So first things first is deciding who we want to pass things down to.
Yeah.
Step number 2 is going to be what we actually want to pass down to them.
Yep.
And I find that point really interesting in itself, because at 30, that's going to be very different than at 60, just on the basis of what someone may own.
Yeah.
So you may end up buying property later in life that then needs to be added to. So in that as well, this is why wills would need to be kept up to date.
Yeah.
And executors up to date as well.
Yeah.
Then step 3 is you're going to have to form I'm going to call it almost like a panel or a group of people here that then become the people who execute this.
Absolutely.
And you've mentioned, what was it called again? An executor? Executor. I like executor better. Can we get that worked on?
That's it. As executors now.
Although I don't feel like that's appropriate naming for when someone's passed away. I was the executor.
It's burnt in.
Then there's potentially a legal specialist, so someone who can take care of that. Likely an accountant as well is going to fall into that. Is there anyone else that would be on this team?
Oh, look, you'll have a guardian. If you have minor children under the age of 18, then you can nominate in your will someone who you trust to act as a guardian in case both the parents have died before the kids attain their share. Then you'll have your power of attorney. If you lose the ability to make decisions in the event of an illness, sickness, then you create a document called enduring power of attorney, in which you appoint one or more trusted people to act on your behalf and make decisions and sign documents for you at a legal or financial capacity.
Is it interesting? Charley, have you ever been, or are you I'm going to call it an executor now, executor, I'll stick with it, on anybody's sort of succession plan?
No. And I'll go further than that. I feel like everyone in my life is going with I'm going to spend every cent I've got before I pass on so that I don't have to deal with these things. So I've never been exposed to this type of strategy.
Yeah.
So I have seen it go wrong though. When my grandfather passed and he had 7 kids, right, they basically came over to the house and just ransacked it.
Yeah.
Like I saw this really, really interesting thing go on where basically it was like a fight for possessions.
Right.
And again, I'm not going to take sides or look at how people viewed who owned what or was entitled to what, but I can absolutely see how if this isn't governed well, it could lead to some pretty unexpected consequences. Yeah. I think he would have bet heavily that kids would have behaved more civilly.
I think that's most people. Funnily enough, so my grandma brought all of her daughters in with like different colored stickers to put stickers on what they want. And so now there's every item's got stickers.
Amazing. That is so good. I love that.
So they all came over with like little stickers. And like, all right, now you know what you're getting. But I am an executor on someone's succession plan. And the thing that fascinated me, Ray, was I didn't actually see the assets. I don't know what the assets are. I don't know what they've defined as splitting out. I just got told, like, hey, just letting you know, you're an executor on this estate. And I'm like, do I need to know anything else? Nope.
No, I'm surprised you do actually, because that is ultimately your role, to collate the assets and work that out and pay taxes on them. And you'd be the one typically passing down to the beneficiaries.
Yeah, hence my surprise. It was like, you're on a document that I've never seen. Hey, fellow business owner, if this topic and value-packed short video has resonated with you at all, and you want to dive deeper into creating wealth inside and outside your business, check out the full episode by clicking the link on your screen or in the description right now.